Alrighty folks, welcome back to another video from Yates Computers Tips and Reviews. Want to start out with mentioning again, head on over, hit the subscribe. Come on back, watch the video. Okay, this one is kind of the big rabbit hole security, not mentioned, kind of mentioned type of thing that's out there. I've already kind of mentioned updates, patches. These are very important concepts to understand. There is another huge factor out there right now that I mentioned is kind of a big money maker that a lot of people aren't really kind of mentioning. Everybody knows to make sure your Windows is updated. Make sure now you've patched and updated. Firmware, your routers, switches, those type of things. Make sure you have the security update, the latest updates to them. Don't know if I really covered a lot of that in a lot of videos. I'm pretty sure I have covered enough basics on it. Now you have basically add-on devices, add-on Wi-Fi devices, add-on network devices. These have kind of become the big security concern. And this is really probably one of the factors that is probably used mostly in homes and small businesses. Big businesses usually use a controlled system that controls those devices, and then that system communicates out. There's been a lot of issues with that also. Doing my research and studies on Security Plus, I have heard a lot of examples of security issues with that, with patches and updates. Some of this stuff is very proprietary and does not have security updates and patches. Where the other issue is nowadays is everything is become control this from your phone, control it from your internet. All these other devices you add to your Wi-Fi network. Security cameras, thermostats. Just bought a auto garage door opener thing that you can hook up. Anything that you can control from the internet on your phone, on anywhere external from your house, creates a huge security issue, because how it is actually communicating. When you get into networking and you get into security, these factors come up. And this is really not something I hear a lot of people telling the home users, because now these are extra devices that need to communicate out and in. Mention the railroad. Railroad tracks. You have single pair of railroad tracks, one line in and out with communication. It's communicating, let's say, from your computer out to where you're going to. Grand Central Station. Any Grand Central Station. How many railroad lines come in? Now, I did mention that I consider a railroad line one hard line in. True. How many main lines actually come into Grand Central Station? That can vary, especially business-wise. Some train stations literally have one line in. Well, you might have 3 spots or 4 spots for trains to park, because you have one that comes in this way and parks, and when that one comes and that one leaves, so you have another one. So you might have different switches that come into that station. workstation. See how I compare a lot of this. I wanted to go through this. So a lot of it can kind of be compared the same. So now you have more channels coming in off of that line. I did say it splits because now it's coming through a different port, different channel, different kind of communication once it comes into your network. And then it goes to that physical device. What the problem is that physical device updated and secure with the latest software and patches? This is really where a lot of security issues have come on lately. They found a lot of breaches and other stuff related to things like that. Yeah, if you have one or two devices, it's probably not that bad. But now you have this whole smart home technology type of base where you have access points, you have actual switches and other devices that actually attach to the wireless directly. So you might have 30 outlets or 30 switches attached directly to your wireless, or they're attached to an access point and that access point is attached out. Making sure all of that firmware and software is updated seems to be a big concern right now, because you have a lot of companies putting out stuff that really is just putting out product that might not exist in a year from now, might not exist in 2 weeks, might not really exist after the rollout. They made smart plugs, made 20,000 of them, and that's all they were going to do. There's a lot of companies out there that you can buy these smart plugs, what company are, but they're compatible with, all the different tech and all this stuff. But what software, what firmware, what kind of stuff is in it is kind of become a concern. Because now you put that on there with 2 other different outlets. So now you have 3 different pieces of software communicating to a device. And one of them, the coding's not right. There's vulnerabilities in the software. There's other things that are going on that can actually put your whole network at risk. So this is one of those factors that are out there that a lot of things are being talked about, things to be aware of, that I just wanted to sum up and bring this out to the light of home users to be aware. Because the worst thing you want to be is go, well, I'm secure here, I'm here, but I don't understand how someone got in my system and how someone's doing this, or why my firewall saying this IP's pinging, or this IP's doing this or that. What is this IP? How is it? You can end up with some weird little situations. And again, these are those kind of situations that could take you hours and hours and hours and hours to figure out. Or you bring someone in and they might not be able to figure it out because they're not really aware of these little vulnerabilities. Because you might have forgot you put that in, or you're not even using it, or you hardly ever used it. The other factor is you bought a house from someone else, and that individual put in these smart plugs, and when you bought the house, you don't even realize they're there. And they could be broadcasting out, they could be doing all kinds of stuff, and you have no Wi-Fi signal. You're having interference, you're having a lot of things. You scan the Wi-Fi networks and you pick up all kinds of weird things and you can't figure them out. It could be these smart devices that got put in that you're not aware of. So this is why I wanted to kind of bring out this video, because this is probably going to be one of those things that come up that could probably cause some big headaches for a lot of people, because you don't know of it, you're not aware of it, you didn't put it in, maybe you did, you forgot about it, You thought it was an interesting tech you wanted to try on, and then you didn't like it, you didn't use it. So these were some of these things that I wanted to summarize and bring out and bring to light for everybody. Because this can be a rabbit hole. Again, this is the whole rabbit hole year of where things can get really deep really quick. Again, identifying it, finding it is probably the major factors. Getting it out, changing it, you just turn the power off, unplug it, put a new one in, and it's out. Easy to remove. Not easy to identify and find. Especially with there being a million brands out there of this tech. Again, there's other things out there that are Bluetooth and wireless capability. Thermostats. Everybody's got wireless controlled thermostats nowadays. That can kind of be a bad factor in some of the security. And when you get into security type of stuff, you don't put those things in controlled, structured environments like server rooms or anything of that sort where someone can compromise it, drive your temperature up to like 200 degrees and burn up all your equipment. These are structured facility type of situations that you might want to consider at home. If you have sudden weird problems where it starts to get warm, you go over and you check the thermostat and it's set for 80, and you question people and nobody says they've changed it, and it happens once or twice, you might want to look at some of that. Maybe someone has compromised that unit. Maybe you need to change your Wi-Fi passwords and security. Maybe you need to make sure the software is updated. Maybe you just need to take it out, put a new one in. Take it off the internet. See if those problems go away. Automatic garage door openers. Used to be in the old days, they used to have a lot of, what would I say, ghost imaging type of, a lot of same frequency, where sometimes your garage door would just open by itself because someone else tried to open their garage door down the way. That most of that's been taken care of. They've gotten more sophisticated, more encryption, more random channels, different bandwidths, a lot of other things involved with, so they're not on the same frequencies. Used to be in the old days, they would use 2 or 3 frequencies. Door locks, like if you buy smart key door locks, usually there's 3 or 4 keys. That's it. They're usually numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can go buy 10 locks and you might get all 10 with key 4. They might all have different keys. 1 through 4, different. But they might, of course, you're going to reprogram them. That's changing your default username and password. Changing the lock key with the different key so that it's not generic, that anybody could come up with those 4 keys and go, oh, this is a Craftsman lock. I have 3 keys that work on that, and open your door. Changing your generic passwords. All of those things that come in pre-done. So, wanted to summarize that and make sure that people are aware of this vulnerability that seems to be out there. And because of the last video that I did with the other really big vulnerability that I knew of, that I wanted to cover on, was making sure the patches and updates to all your software, Windows Update does not hit all your software. You have to open your individual softwares and make sure they're updated. Your firmware on your switches, routers, motherboard, switches, routers, those are external devices that you need to make sure you have updates to. That is also all of the other wireless controllers and things. Auto garage doors, the locks, smart locks on your front door and all of that, where you can do it from your phone and unlock your front door. You want to make sure all that tech is updated. Make sure it has the latest patches and firmware. Find out if there's any security risks. Find out maybe there's some configurations you can do on your router or on your internet provider that comes in. Any of those type of things, or a firewall that will secure some of that better. You can actually go to setting that up so that you have to have a MAC address. The MAC address from the phone to communicate through your network. There are other security things you can implement to make these things safer. But knowing of the vulnerabilities that can be on these devices is really one of the things I don't hear a lot of people talk about, that I want to press out there, is make sure you have the updates on all your external wireless devices. Think of it as your camera is still a physical computer or device, the same as your laptop, the same as your computer, same as your smartphone, watch. You want to apply those updates. You need to research it, find out, are they updated? Figure out, where do I get those updates and how do I apply them? How do I apply those patches? How do I apply all of these things? So this is one of the little factors I wanted to bring up and press out there, because I don't hear a lot of people talk about it. I do hear warnings about things. I do hear, hey, be careful with, this and that, and business environment, you shouldn't have this and that. But it's not, I think, getting relayed out to the general. So this is general public. So this is why I wanted to do this video. Bring this out, because this is security. And again, this kind of falls into this year's quiz. If you watch all these videos and you think you had that quiz all locked down and you're hearing like this, you might need to go back and research and look at what you've already done, because this is probably not a factor a lot of people look at. To know all those external devices that are on your Wi-Fi, on your wired network, all of those type of things. Not only wireless, anything on your internal network. Printers, scanners, anything that has any kind of software that might be able to be compromised. Making sure, printers I've brought up, making sure you have a user admin account, login, username, password. That is one thing that a lot of people do when they set them up generically that they don't do. I can put in an IP address of a printer and get access right in and see everything, the print history, all of this stuff of what's gone on. I can go in and put a password and everything else, and then go in and change it and lock you out completely, and basically ransomware your printer. I have control of your printer because I locked you out. I can lock out the keypad on it so you can't do anything. Then you got to take it out, throw it away, because you can't get into it unless you can factory reset it somehow to wipe out all that I've done, or you buy another one, put it in. And hopefully you do the proper procedures and techniques on this one so that someone doesn't do it again. Alright, I know I've mentioned that in other videos. I think I'm good. I think I can wrap this one up, because I think that covers the basics on your external devices and making sure the security patches and update firmware and all of that is done on those devices also, because those are security concerns. Because if someone can get access to that device, they can work around your network and find out what else you got and figure out other vulnerabilities to get to you. Or just to cause you pain by taking over whatever they found. Maybe it's your casting device. Maybe it's your streaming device. You're streaming certain channels, other things that has a vulnerability. They take that over. Then you don't have your streaming. You can't watch TV. You can't watch anything you want to watch because that got breached. You have to order another one. That's a cost, time that you have to deal with that. Reprogram it, do all of that stuff, log in and do all of that stuff. And if they breach those accounts that you had on there, your logins and all of that type of stuff, you got more headaches. Being aware of that, being told that, being informed of that is kind of important. Again, that's why I do my channel. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe.